Hi, my name's James, and I have an eating disorder. I've also done a lot of professional work in the area of eating disorders. And recently, I've been talking about how to support somebody with an eating disorder. Of course, everybody is different, and people will need specifically different things or engaging with in different ways. But I do think that there are some things that we need universally, and one of those is relationship. And when we want to help somebody with an eating disorder, very often it's the practical things that we focus on, like how can we help somebody to eat? How can we stop somebody from being sick or binge eating? And those things are really important, but I always emphasize that that practical help and the things that we need to do to help somebody come through the vehicle of relationship, and having somebody able to trust you might help you to help them a little bit more. I hope that makes some sense, and I would just encourage people not to overlook the fact that just by being a really good friend and really having a good relationship with somebody, completely aside from the eating difficulties or the eating disorder, that in itself can be really valuable. I think looking at my experience, that's definitely been the case, or something that's been missing is having relationships where people engage with me not just as an eating disorder or not just as a problem to be solved, not just as somebody who needs something doing to them in order to get better or to remove the problem. And I think that it can feel quite dehumanizing at the extreme end, where you feel like you're just this problem or this thing that needs something doing to them. And I'm thinking there of medical settings where, yes, I've had medical emergencies and I need certain interventions, but at the same time, I'm still a person who's going through this thing, not just a piece of machinery where one of the mechanical parts has gone wrong, for example, in my blood test results. I think that on that human to human level and thinking outside of clinical practice and healthcare settings, we all need friends. We all need family members or our own cobbled together family. Certainly, as we get older, I think we sort of choose our family a little bit. And that point of being seen as somebody who's not just an eating disorder, I think that's so important. Certainly, when you become really unwell and maybe over time, other bits of your life sort of get stripped away a little bit, and you can't do all the things that you used to do, or you can't engage in that part of your identity. Say, in my case, music, I just couldn't carry on doing it. So I lost that musician James that used to relate to people through talking about music and all the things that we shared in common. That can be really painful for people. And when you're only seen for the really immediate problem, and maybe that's a really obvious and alarming problem, then it might feel like all the other bits of you are erased or lost. And so, one thing that I think people can really do, certainly in the role as a friend or a family member, is to keep engaging with the person with an eating disorder in terms of all the other things about them that aren't the eating disorder. So, the things that they're interested in, they're still probably going to be interested in them, even if they're covered up or distracted by something that's more urgent, or they've been taken away by their experience of illness. Maybe bringing back in a bit more connection with those other things that have been lost a little bit will help to slightly push the eating disorder to one side, or provide a different identity for somebody than just the identity of illness, which can certainly be a big part of people's experience and a big part of the problem sometimes. I certainly didn't remember who I was when it came to my treatment and my recovery from an eating disorder. All I was known for was being unwell and for being, oh, that man with an eating disorder. And actually getting better has involved really sort of creating a different kind of person, or re emerging as me rather than just me with an eating disorder or overtaken by all these difficulties. So that is something that you can do, and maybe it involves just sitting and talking. Maybe it involves remembering simply that this person has other interests in other parts of their life, or it might involve lots of practical things like the person with an eating disorder who loves cinema, loves film, going with your friend to the cinema. Could be a really simple thing to do, and it doesn't have to involve food. Not all of the times that we're helping somebody with an eating disorder have to involve helping them with eating and with their symptoms. There are loads of other things, and sometimes these indirect ways of helping people can actually really help them in those moments when there's that direct challenge in recovery, with working with food, with eating, and all of these really difficult things. We also have to have other things. It can't just be that we are recovering to have a life where we eat normally. It's recovering to have a life where we're healthy in order to do all those other things as well. So I hope that is a useful thing to remind people of, because these are things that anybody can do as a friend, as a person in a good relationship with somebody. And it doesn't have to be that you're a specialist in order to help somebody with an eating disorder.